right, Saagar, what are you looking at?
Well, I, as promised, taking a little bit of a look at the media response. And one of the things I've tried to underscore to many of my friends who've been gaslit, frankly, by a lot of MAGA criticism is that by being one of these people who says, I'm for the withdrawal, but not like this, and amplifying many of the critiques, you find yourself on the side of the neocons who screwed up this world in the first place. The media in particular has been not discerning whatsoever about the credibility of the people that they cite in their critiques of Biden. So I pulled 4 separate pieces of criticism, which I have seen amplified by conservative media, which are direct people who were responsible for getting us into the quagmires of today. Okay, so let's start with one, my personal favorite. My friend Kurt Mills over at the American Conservative pulled this one. Wall Street Journal, quote, as Afghanistan reverts, Iraq makes steady progress. That's a claim. The byline on that is Paul Bremer. Now, for those who may not know who Paul Bremer is, Paul Bremer was George W. Bush's pick in order to head the Coalitional Provisional Authority in Iraq. He made the decision to pursue de-Baathification in order to kick out all the Iraqis from their government and completely collapse that nation into a sectarian civil war. He is, by my estimation, probably the single most discredited figure of the entire Iraq war, save for George W. Bush. And yet, he's in the pages of the Wall Street Journal trying to tout his own fake success and making sure that he points to what happened in Afghanistan as a failure and not his own dealings in Iraq, which collapsed that nation, killed thousands of American soldiers, cost America $1 trillion. In what world should we be elevating voices like Paul Bremer? Now let's go to the next one. This is another particular favorite who I've seen all over Fox News in the last couple of days. Ari Fleischer. He says Biden's problem. He said Americans are not having difficulties getting the second airport. They are. He said Al-Qaeda is in Afghanistan. They are. He said foreign leaders are not criticizing his handling withdrawal. They are. His judgment and explanations are deeply flawed. Now, as Daniel DePetra shows, according to the Center for Public Integrity, Ari Fleischer made 109 false statements on the Iraq war. Ari Fleischer, for those who don't remember, was working for George W. Bush during the war drum period for the war in Iraq and post 9/11. He, again, is a demonstrable liar whenever it comes to the war on terror, the war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq. Are you noticing a trend here on who's being elevated in conservative media? You should be very cognizant of who you are finding yourself on the side of. I already highlighted how Donald Trump Jr. now is citing Tony Blair as some awesome figure of moral authority. Put this up there. Tony Blair has broken his long silence. He says the withdrawal was driven by imbecilic slogan of ending the forever war. Once again, just so everybody knows what's going on here, 2017, the United Kingdom, in their own internal inquiry into the war in Iraq, said that the former Prime Minister, Tony Blair, had not been truthful, quote, not straight with the nation over the Iraq war. He said specifically that Tony Blair tried to obfuscate his own responsibility in falling for WMD in Iraq, in pushing the lies as to why the Britain stood with the United States in that invasion, and that he himself is a liar who lied to the British people. And yet he now comes forward and has the gall to criticize our president for doing what he couldn't do in terms of getting out of Afghanistan. So that's Tony Blair. And here's my personal and final favorite. Jeb Bush tweeting out an article about how Afghans need an underground railroad by Paul Wolfowitz. Now, I said previously that Paul Bremer might be one of the most discredited figures of the Iraq war. Paul Wolfowitz actually might be one who's even more so, or very much at least in the running here. Why? Because what we see there is that Paul Wolfowitz was one of the chief people inside the Bush administration pushing for war in Iraq, permanent occupancy of Afghanistan, so-called democracy, the full neoconservative agenda whenever he was in the White House. These are the people who are being elevated by elite media. These are the people that you find yourselves on the side on. They are all proven liars. And Crystal, we have now given people so much information. John Bolton is being interviewed on CNN. We see Condoleezza Rice writing op-eds in the Washington Post. Not a single credible voice, not one have I seen on the media. I think that Craig Whitlock, who we had on this show of the Afghanistan papers, he was interviewed once on MSNBC. As far as I know, he was not interviewed so far on CNN. Where are the people exposing the lies of those who I just pointed out? These people have blood on their hands in the toll of millions, treasure that they have spent. And these are the people who, and you know, I want to say, there are many people out there who really were for withdrawal and are being gaslit by MAGA leaders into somehow finding themselves on the side of the Paul Bremers, of the Paul Wolfowitzes of the world, of the Tony Blairs who are responsible for the neoliberal project that we have seen fail. I'm agog, really, at who the shamelessness of these people to, number one, rear their heads, but number two, have the media elevate them, and then three, have MAGA, who, if anything, is an indictment of these people, somehow embrace them. I'm going crazy here.
Hey, guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.